Winnie-the-Pooh and the Honey Hunt Adventure. Once upon a time, in the 100-acre wood, there lived a small, round, and very thoughtful bear named Winnie-the-Pooh. Now, you might think that Winnie-the-Pooh spent most of his days sitting under trees, but you would be wrong. Pooh spent most of his time thinking about one thing in particular: honey. One fine day, about last Friday, Pooh Bear was wandering through the forest when he heard something unusual. He came to a sunny clearing, and there, in the middle, stood a tall oak tree. From the very top of the tree came a buzzing sound, loud and steady. Pooh sat down at the base of the tree, put his head between his paws, and began to think, which is something he did often when he heard buzzing noises. "That buzzing means something," Pooh said thoughtfully. "You don't get buzzing noises like that for no reason. And if it's buzzing, it must mean bees." His eyes brightened. "And if there are bees, then they must be making honey. And if they're making honey, that means I should eat it." With this happy thought in mind, Pooh stood up, gave his round belly a satisfied pat, and began climbing the tall oak tree, eager to reach the top where the honey awaited. As he climbed, Pooh started to sing a little song to keep himself company. Isn't it funny how a bear likes honey? Buzz, buzz, buzz. I wonder why he does. Higher and higher he climbed, but soon he started to feel a bit tired. He paused and thought of another song. It's a very funny thought that, if bears were bees, they'd build their nests at the bottom of trees. And that being so, we wouldn't have to climb up all these stairs. Pooh chuckled at the idea of bees building hives at the bottom of trees, but just then, crack! The branch he was standing on broke. "Oh, bother!" cried Pooh as he tumbled down, bouncing from branch to branch. With every fall, he tried to explain himself. "If only I hadn't, thump. What I meant to do, thwack. It all comes of liking honey so much." Finally, with one last crash, Pooh landed in a prickly gorse bush at the bottom of the tree. He crawled out, covered in prickles, and sighed. "Oh, bother. That didn't go quite as I had planned." Pooh sat for a moment, brushing prickles from his nose, and then an idea popped into his fluffy head. "Christopher Robin!" he exclaimed. "He'll know what to do." So off Pooh went, wobbling through the forest until he arrived at the little green door where his best friend, Christopher Robin, lived. "Good morning, Christopher Robin," Pooh called out. "Good morning, Pooh Bear," Christopher Robin replied, smiling. "I was just wondering," Pooh began, "if you happen to have a balloon about you?" "A balloon? What for, Pooh?" Pooh looked around to make sure no one was listening and whispered, "Honey." Christopher Robin scratched his head. "But you don't get honey with balloons, Pooh." "I do," said Pooh confidently. "Or, at least, I have a plan to." Luckily, Christopher Robin had 2 balloons left from a party at Piglet's house, a big green balloon and a big blue one. He brought them out and asked Pooh, "Which one would you like?" Pooh sat down to think. "If I take the green balloon, the bees might think I'm just part of the tree. But if I take the blue balloon, they might think I'm part of the sky. The question is, which one is more likely?" Christopher Robin thought for a moment. "Wouldn't they see you underneath the balloon?" "They might, or they might not," Pooh said, scratching his head. "You never can tell with bees." After thinking carefully, Pooh decided on the blue balloon. "I shall pretend to be a small black cloud," he said proudly. "That will fool the bees for sure." So off they went to find a very muddy place, where Pooh Bear rolled and rolled until he was completely covered in mud. When he was ready, Christopher Robin blew up the blue balloon until it was as big as could be, and together they let go of the string. Up, up, up floated Pooh, rising into the sky until he was level with the top of the tree. He looked down and waved. "Hooray!" he shouted. "I'm floating like a cloud." Christopher Robin waved back. "What do you look like from up there?" Pooh squinted. "Do I look like a little black cloud?" "Not really," Christopher Robin said, laughing. "More like a bear holding on to a balloon." Pooh frowned but decided to continue with his plan. He could see the honey, smell the honey, but try as he might, he just couldn't reach the honey. "Christopher Robin," Pooh called after a while. "Yes, Pooh." "I think the bees are getting suspicious." Christopher Robin looked up. "What do you think they suspect?" "I don't know," said Pooh, "but I have a feeling they think I'm after their honey." "Well, maybe they're right," Christopher Robin said with a chuckle. Pooh floated there, trying to figure out what to do next. Then he had another idea. Christopher Robin, do you have an umbrella at your house? I think so, Christopher Robin said, puzzled. Why? I need you to walk up and down below me with it and say, it looks like rain. That way, the bees will be sure I'm just a cloud. Christopher Robin couldn't help but laugh at his friend's cleverness, but because he loved Pooh so much, he agreed. He fetched his umbrella, walked beneath the tree, and began saying, it looks like rain. Meanwhile, Pooh began singing a little cloud song. How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue. Every little cloud always sings aloud. But the bees were buzzing more loudly than ever, flying all around Pooh's nose and ears. Pooh tried his best to stay still, but one bee landed right on his nose and made him sneeze. Christopher Robin, Pooh called again. I think these bees are the wrong sort of bees. Why do you say that? Christopher Robin asked. Because I think they're making the wrong sort of honey. And I don't think they're fooled by my disguise. Well, what should we do? I think I should come down, Pooh said, frowning. But if I let go of the string, I'll fall. Christopher Robin thought for a moment. I'll have to shoot the balloon with my toy gun, he said. But won't that spoil the balloon? Pooh asked. It will, Christopher Robin replied. But if I don't, you'll fall, and that will spoil you. Christopher Robin aimed carefully and fired. The first shot missed the balloon and grazed Pooh's ear. Ow, cried Pooh. You missed. Sorry, Christopher Robin said, aiming again. This time, he hit the balloon, and it began to deflate slowly, bringing Pooh gently down to the ground. Pooh landed safely, but his arms were so stiff from holding onto the balloon that they stayed stuck straight up in the air for a whole week. And whenever a fly came to rest on his nose, he had to blow it off because he couldn't use his hands. And that's how Winnie-the-Pooh's great honey hunt came to an end, but not without a lesson. You never can tell with bees, but you always can count on a good friend.